Hi guys. Okay, so don't worry, this is going to sound like your video's stuck on a loop, but it really isn't. This is going to be one of the last cuts that we're going to do, where it's basically exactly the same as the last video and the same as the video before that. One of the reasons that I'm doing this is not only because we can get more haircuts out of the head block, but also because it's getting you used to just some really basic scissor work and comb work. So it's really valuable stuff. You might not realize it, but in doing this kind of stuff, you're just going to be creating some really basic habits that you're going to be using over and over and over again. So we're just going to go through this haircut one more time, and then the video after this, we're going to start to introduce a few different things, but we'll get onto that. So let's get straight into it. Make sure your head is nice and wet still. Make sure the center parting's in there. And if you've not moved from the last haircut, then it should all still be exactly as we left it. So let's get straight into it. We're going to find where the back of that head is, and we're just going to comb the hair right down. And it's probably worth noting at this stage that we should still have enough hair that is coming over the hairline underneath. So what I mean by that is, I'm lifting this hair up. There's the hairline of the guy. Can you see that? It's right there. And this hair is still coming well over the top of that. We don't want to be cutting this so that we're already up here on his head. Okay, that's coming later on. So at the moment, just making sure there's still lots of hair coming down, and we're just going to cut in a new baseline at the back here. Take off about 1 inch. There it is. And there's a couple there. Let's just pick those off. And then we're going to get those teeth coming straight down again. And hopefully you will know what's coming. That's the hair I've cut. This is the hair that needs to be cut. So I'm just holding that comb. I'm cutting across. And then combing down again. This needs to be cut, and we're going to cut it so it matches here. And now I'm coming around just behind his ear. And now I'm coming down over his ear, keeping it nice and controlled. I'm not rushing, even though we've already done this haircut before and we all know what's coming. It's just worth taking your time, making sure you're getting all that hair. One of the risks is if you cut, the hair can sometimes just slide out the end of your scissors and you don't cut it all, and then you end up with little strands that have been missed back here. And if you do that, when the customer gets home, they're going to find those strands of hair and they're going to know that it hasn't been cut right. So it's really important to make sure you've got all those little hairs and to take the time that's needed to catch them all. And here I am with those last bits right at the front. And let me just get this last one right here. Okay. And I've just missed a few here. So you can see, just going over them. And it doesn't matter how experienced you get, going over your work to make sure it's done right is a really great thing. There's that side, so let's go back to the back. And you'll notice I'm really carefully running my fingers. I'm closing my scissors and I'm just running my fingers across it and getting all these dead ends off here. It's just nice to keep your tools nice and clean, and that way when you're cutting you can see a really nice cutting edge. But do make sure you keep your scissors closed because these blades are really, really sharp. Okay, so you can almost see it. Here's all the longer ones here, and here is all the shorter side. So I'm going to find that baseline again. There it is in there. I'm just going to move over to the right hand side just a touch, and you should see all that hair that needs to come off. This is the short stuff that we've cut. Here's the longer stuff. So we're just going to level them up and move over to the right a touch. Sorry to get in your way. There we go, and let me just cut across here. And now we're coming round to behind his ear. And you can see I'm just using that other comb technique where I'm going underneath the hair with my teeth facing up. and I'm pulling it down. This is the bit that's been cut. This needs to come off. And I'm just going to use the cutting technique. I'm just cutting some paper. And now coming down over his ear. And now just in front of his ear. And you can see every time you move forwards, you can see those hairs that need to be cut to join up with the hairs that have already been cut. And now we're right at the front. And those last few, there they are. And there we go. Okay, so like we always do, this isn't just a trainee exercise. This is something that you do no matter how long you've been cutting. Use your fingers to get the comb lines out because it makes the hair look a little bit less combed and a little bit more natural. And then just quickly run your fingers down through it. And thankfully, those lengths are all looking about level. Great, okay, so on the next video, sorry Gav, on the next video, we're just going to move on from the back of this because in terms of long hair, we don't want to go too much shorter than this right now. So we're going to start to leave the back of this and we're going to start to do a little bit more work around the sides and the front just to bring a little bit more shape into the hair. And it's probably worth mentioning again now that there are different shapes to hair. So you're probably the best example is like a more feminine, what they call a bob. And a bob is where it's quite short at the back. It's a center parting like this one, but then the lengths at the front sort of come down, so it's sort of longer at the front than it is at the back. Now that's quite a feminine shape. Guys, they tend to have the reverse. So it's a little bit shorter at the front and it gets a little bit longer as it goes to the back. So we're going to start to work towards that now, and the way we do that is by leaving what we've now achieved here. We're not going to cut any more out of this, but we're just going to look to go a little bit shorter at the front and sort of blend that into the back by not taking any more off, but we're going to come on to that in the next video. So good job. See you in the next video.